Chapter 5744 The dove occupying the magpie's nest. Ding Wenru was stunned. What? You're saying that this wall was built by the Alchemy Division and the Talisman Seal Division? They occupied the place of the Prehistoric Division? Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Although I don't have any evidence, it's basically not wrong. Think about it, no matter how bad the Prehistoric Division is, it's still a division. How can it only have a few rooms? Ding Wenru suddenly understood and said, Qingjing, needless to say, what you said does make sense. No matter how unpopular the primeval subdivision is, it shouldn't only have so little space. No wonder the plaque at the door looks quite imposing even though it's covered in dust. It's so small inside. So it's occupied by someone else. Ding Wenru sighed again. This is the so-called saying that when people leave, the tea will be cold and the world will be cold. Even if they knew that the Alchemy Division and the Talisman Division had occupied the territory of the Primordial Division, they could only pretend not to know. We can't let them return their territory to us, right? Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. It's only right and proper to repay the debt. It's fine that the Primordial Division didn't have an owner, but now that they have our only 2 students, they have to give us an explanation. Explanation? What explanation? Qingqing. Don't mess around. Our small arms can't outrun their thighs. The Alchemy Division and the Talisman Division have many people, so it's like playing a game with us. Don't worry, I won't force it. This matter has to be done slowly. When the time comes, the money you owe me will be settled. A sinister smile appeared on Yun Chujio's face. Ding Wenru felt that the guy in front of her was most likely crazy. Even if she was lucky enough to get an explanation, she would at most get her territory back. What did that have to do with money? Moreover, even if the Alchemy Division and the Talisman Seal Division went crazy and really gave money, it would still be the Academy's money. What did it have to do with the 2 of them? Hei Xinjia's mood was much better now that she had the way to make money. It was not that she was greedy, but the glutton in the room was too wasteful. If she didn't think of a way to make money, wouldn't she be sitting on a mountain of nothing? In the afternoon, Ding Wenru went to the refining department to take a free lesson while Hei Xinjio strolled to the alchemy department next door. This fellow strolled around the alchemy department and was even more certain of his conjecture. This alchemy department was obviously much bigger than the spiritual power department. It was really shameless to occupy the territory of the prehistoric department. This fellow narrowed his. Since the territory of the prehistoric department had been divided, there might be a lot of treasures that had been stolen by the other departments. It was really shameless. This fellow strolled around, and when he saw that it was about time, he strolled into the Alchemy Division's teaching hall. The students who were attending the class were new students who had just passed the middle school entrance examination. There were only a few dozen of them. When they saw Yun Chujio enter, they immediately exploded. Yen Qingqing, your eyesight isn't good, is it? This is the Alchemy Division, what are you doing here? Get the hell out of here. We don't welcome trash like you here. Go back to your primeval faculty. That's right, I heard that you were chased out by Instructor Zheng from the Spirit faculty this morning. Why didn't you learn your lesson? Do you want to be chased out again? Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. A bunch of turtle doves that had taken over the magpie's nest, and they still dared to chase her out. However, this fellow thought of his small body and decided to temporarily give up on the idea of recovering the lost land. He would let these turtle doves run around for a few days first, and when the time was right, he would deal with them. However, it is also okay to collect some interest first. Chapter 5745 These doves are really gullible. Hei Xinjio blinked her eyes. You want me to get lost? TSK, you really have no shame at all. What right do you have to chase me away? If you want to chase me away, it should be the lecturer who will come in a while to chase me away. However, with my beautiful appearance, I believe the lecturer would not have the heart to chase me away. The freshmen of the alchemy faculty were all dumbfounded. They had seen thick-skinned people before, but this was the first time they had seen someone so thick-skinned. Yen Qingqing, do you still have any shame? How dare you call yourself a beautiful woman with that unappealing face of yours? Besides, you're not a student of the alchemy faculty. When the lecturer arrives, he will definitely chase you away. If you still have any shame, then hurry up and leave. That's right, a person has to know his own limits. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you've bewitched Beiyu with your evil ways. Get lost. Yun Chujia's black eyes rolled around. How about this? Do you dare to make a bet with me? If the lecturer asks me to stay and listen to the lecture later, each of you will lose 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. If the lecturer kicks me out, I will lose 10,000 high-grade spirit stones to each of you. Do you dare? The freshmen looked at each other. This was a deal that would not make a profit. What was there to be afraid of? Even if the lecturer did not want to kick her out, if they were to make a fuss, the lecturer could only kick her out. Hence, one after another, they said, "We don't dare? What a joke. Let's make a bet. Yen Qingqing, you are indeed a sucker. Since you want to take the initiative to give us money, we naturally have no reason to object. If you don't admit your debt, we will definitely not let you off. Right, if you are willing to gamble, you must admit your loss. If you are going to cheat, The smile on Yun Chujia's face became even brighter. These Jujio were really easy to fool. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked in from outside the door. Everyone immediately kept quiet, but their eyes were filled with pride and schadenfreude. Not only would they be able to chase Yen Qingqing out to vent their anger, but they would also be able to obtain 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. It was truly wonderful. My surname is Go, and am the lecturer who teaches you the basics of medicinal herbs. Medicinal herbs are the foundation of pill refinement, and it's the most important thing. Lecturer Ji rambled on about the importance of the basics of medicinal herbs. Just as he was about to give an official lecture, someone raised his hand. "What is your name, fellow student? What do you want?" Lecturer Ji asked. "Lecturer Ge, my name is Qin Fei Bai. I have something to report to you." Lecturer Ji looked at him in confusion. "What is it?" Lecturer Ji, this Yen Qingqing is a student of the Primeval Academy and not a student of our alchemy division. Therefore, she has no right to listen to the lecture here. Please expel her, Lecturer Ji. Chen Feibai glanced at Yun Chujio, he said proudly. The gazes of the other students were all focused on Yun Chujio. They were certain that Yun Chujio would be expelled, and their faces were filled with schadenfreude. Some of them were even thinking about how to spend the 10,000 spirit stones they earned. Lecturer Ji's gaze also landed on Yun Chujio, and he said indifferently, "You are Yen Qingqing from the Primal Institution?" Yun Chujio stood up and bowed respectfully. "Yes, I am Yen Qingqing." The smug expressions on everyone's faces became even more pronounced. There was going to be a good show to watch. Lecturer Ji was definitely going to open his mouth and kick her out. Lecturer Ji sized up Yun Chujio and said indifferently, "Sit down." The crowd that was stretching their necks and waiting for Yun Chujio to be kicked out. That was it? She wasn't kicked out. Chapter 5746, They were his real students. Jin Feibai said anxiously, "Lecturer Ji, she is not a student of the alchemy faculty. She doesn't have the right to stay here to listen to the lecture. Shouldn't you kick her out?" Lecturer Ji's face immediately darkened. "Are you accusing me?" Chen Feibai's face immediately paled. No, I didn't mean that. It's just that Yen Qingqing is not a student of the alchemy faculty." Enough. There is no discrimination in teaching. Although she is a student of the Primeval Academy, she is also a student of the 10 Directions Academy. Coming here to listen shows that she is diligent and eager to learn. You should learn from her, Lecturer Ji said seriously. Lecturer Ji cursed in his heart. Damn it, he also wanted to kick her out. However, President Gu had ordered that the 2 students of the Primeval Academy could listen to any of the 6 faculties' courses. Did he dare to kick them out? Chen Feibai and the other freshmen were immediately dumbfounded. Why was this different from what they had expected? Why didn't Lecturer Ji kick them out like Lecturer Zheng from the Spirit Energy branch? It was over. Losing face was one thing, but more importantly, they still had to lose to that Yen Qingqing for 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have made the bet. It would have been too late for regrets. Lecturer Ji ignored the crowd and began his lecture. After a while, he said, "Qin Feibai, answer me. I've just talked about the classification of herbs. Chen Feibai had been thinking about the bet and hadn't listened to the lecture seriously. He was instantly dumbfounded. He stammered for a long time but still couldn't answer. Lecturer Ji's face immediately darkened. He pointed at the boy next to him and said, "Answer me." The boy was also trying to slip away. He could not give an answer even after a long while. Lecturer Ji's expression became even more unsightly. He randomly pointed at another person. Although that person answered a little, he did not give a complete answer. Lecturer Ji slapped the podium angrily and said, "This was only the content from 15 minutes ago. How can you all not answer? Are your brains not working, or are you not paying attention to the lecture? You guys have really disappointed me." At this moment, Yun Chujio raised her claws weakly. "Lecturer Ji, I know the answer. Can I answer?" Lecturer Ji glanced at her. "Then you answer it." According to the ecological habits of the herbs, they are terrestrial herbs, aquatic herbs, epiphytic herbs, parasitic herbs, saprophytic herbs. According to the spiritual root attributes of the herbs, fire herbs, water herbs. To be honest, Lecturer Ji did not expect Yun Chujio to answer his question. After all, she had spent money to buy a flag to enter the upper house. However, he never expected Yun Chujio to answer his questions so accurately. His impression of Yun Chujio was a little better. At least, this Yen Qingcheng's attitude towards the lecture was very upright. Lecturer Ji nodded. "Very good. Sit down. Did you see that? Although Yen Qingcheng is here to listen, she is more serious than all of you. Shouldn't you feel ashamed? You actually asked me to kick Yen Qingcheng out previously? With your learning attitude, I think the ones who should be kicked out are all of you." Chen Feibai and the others looked like they had nothing to live for. What did they do wrong? Why did they have to suffer such treatment? Didn't this lecturer Ji know that there was a difference between being close and distant? They were his true students. The lesson that had tormented them was finally over. After lecturer Ji left, Yun Chujio directly blocked the door and stretched out her claws. "If you are willing to gamble, you must admit defeat. Pay up." Chapter 5747 were very friendly. Chen Feibai and the others were so angry that they gritted their teeth when they saw Yun Chujio's arrogant look. Chen Feibai's eyes flashed. "Yen Qingcheng, what nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean by accepting your loss? Have we made a bet with you? Get out of the way quickly, or don't blame us for being impolite." Some of the students immediately understood Chen Feibai's meaning and immediately jeered. "That's right, what bet? We don't even know about it. Yen Qingcheng, are you out of your mind? How dare you slander us? How shameless! Get out of the way. If you don't get out of the way, I'll let you walk out of here." Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips and slowly took out a recording stone from her storage ring. The arrogant voices of Chen Feibai and the others could be heard from within. Everyone was immediately dumbfounded. This Yen Qingcheng actually made a sinister recording? This was really too despicable. Yun Chujio fiddled with the recording stone in her hand as she said indifferently, "I'm a person. I always like to hold back when doing things. You want to play dirty with me? Take the money quickly. Otherwise, the entire upper house will know about the actions of you despicable people who go back on your words." Chen Feibai and the others were so angry that they were about to puke. However, they had no choice but to pay 10,000 upper-grade spirit stones each. After Yun Chujio finished collecting the spirit stones, she said with a smile, "TSKSK, my fellow students from the alchemy division are really too polite. I'm very satisfied with this welcome gift. Let's meet again." Chen Feibai and the others were so angry that they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This Yen Qingcheng was really too hateful. Looking at Yun Chujio's back, they all gritted their teeth. They had completely forgotten that they were the ones who provoked Yun Chujio first. Some people were like this. They were always looking for other problems, but they couldn't see their own mistakes. Yun Chu hummed a little tune as she left the alchemy division and returned to the primal division. After a while, Ding Wenru also returned and said angrily, "Those bastards from the refining division really deserve a beating. I will let them know what it means to be a genius in the refining world in the future." Yun Chujio, Sister Ding, did they bully you? Ding Wenru gulped down a cup of tea before snorting coldly, Etchi. They just said that I don't have the qualifications to listen in and wanted to chase me away. However, when they saw that Instructor Chow didn't have any intention to chase me away, they finally stopped. A bunch of idiots who look down on others. Is it the same if you go to the alchemy division? Did they bully you? Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. The students of the alchemy division are very friendly. Not only did they not bully me, they even gave me 10 high-grade spirit stones each as a welcome gift. Ding Wenru spat out the tea that she had just drunk. Qingqing, what did you say? They gave you 10,000 high-grade spirit stones each? Ding Wenru felt that she might have misheard. Those students who had passed the middle school entrance examination were all too arrogant. Why would they give Qingqing spirit stones? This was impossible. Yun Chujio immediately told her about the matter and then said, Look, I didn't lie to you, right? Are the students of the alchemy faculty very friendly? Ding Wenru. Friendly? I was obviously tricked by you, all right. Her admiration for Yun Chujio was like a torrential ocean. Look at her, she went out for a class and earned hundreds of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. As expected, she was a big, shiny leg. Right at this moment, a clamor came from outside the door, mixed with the screams of some women. Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. It should be her gigolo. Having such a charming fiancé was really enviable. Chapter 5748. The red claws that were as quiet as a chicken. Yun Chujio opened the courtyard door and saw Di Baiming standing at the door. There were many girls gathered behind him and their faces were all red. However, when they saw Yun Chujio, they became united against a common enemy. Yun Chujio said in a sweet voice, Big brother Beiyu, you came to see me? Quickly come in. Let's go to my bedroom and have a good exchange of feelings. The girls immediately exploded. This Yen Qingqing was too shameless. She wanted to drag Beiyu into her bedroom in broad daylight. She definitely wanted to destroy him. She was too shameless. They silently shouted in their hearts, Beiyu, don't GOP. Unfortunately, they could only watch as Beiyu nodded his head and followed the pervert into the courtyard. Ding Wenru walked out and shut the courtyard door with a bang. Then she sat down on the steps of the door, looking as if she was a lone wolf. The girls immediately had a place to vent their anger. They pointed at Ding Wenru and scolded, Ding Wenru, you're Yen Qingcheng's dog. Pooey. Shameless. Ding Wenru, you're in cahoots with Yen Qingcheng, you'll get your retribution. Ding Wenru, you ugly freak. You and Yen Qingcheng will be sent back to the lower house sooner or later, you two trash. Ding Wenru glanced at the few people who were scolding her and then recorded them in her black book. How dare they scold her? In the future, let Qingcheng teach them a lesson. In the courtyard, Di Baiming's expression was a little ugly. Just as he was about to turn around and shout at the girls to retreat, Yun Chujio stopped him. Just treat them as dogs barking. There's only me and Ding Wenru in the primal institution. With their scolding, there's a little more vitality. Di Baiming could not help but laugh. In this world, there was no other optimistic girl like little Gio. He reached out and rubbed Yun Chujio's hair lovingly. Recently, Instructor Zheng has arranged a lot of things for me to complete after class. I'm afraid I don't have much time to look for you. Yun Chujio curled her lips. She guessed that Xiao Lianxiao must have made use of Director Xiaofu to prevent her from being alone with the gigolo. To make a long story short, why did you come to the 10 Directions Academy? Yun Chujio asked the question that she had been wanting to ask. The 10 Directions Academy and the Divine Enlightenment Academy have a competition every year. There is a competition every 100 years, and in half a year, it happens to be the 100-year competition. During the 100-year competition, the two academies will work together to open an underground secret realm. Among them, there is something very important to me. After thinking about it, the only way is. That's why I entered the 10 Directions Academy. Di Baiming said with a serious expression. Yun Chujio was not surprised by this answer. She had some vague guesses. There must be something important for the pretty boy to endure those idiots in the Academy of 10 Directions. Otherwise, with his temper, he would have slapped away those flirtatious bitches who surrounded him for no reason. After chatting for a while, Hei Shinjio said proudly, "By the way, I'll show you De Hua's red claw. Although it's only a claw now, I think it will solidify sooner or later." Yun Chujio released the red claw proudly. Di Baiming's eyes fell on the red claw. The red claw was as quiet as a chicken and very obedient. Di Baiming frowned. "You told me before that it pushed you several times and even pulled your hair?" Chapter 5749 Zhang Ning will not let you down. Yun Chujio immediately nodded her head with grievance. "That's right, this dumbass bullied me in front of everyone. It's a 10,000-year-old single claw and it wants to turn me into a nun too." When the red claw heard the words, 10,000-year-old single claw, it was about to turn hostile. However, when it saw Di Baiming beside Yun Chujio, it immediately continued to be as quiet as a chicken. Di Baiming's face immediately darkened. His eyes fell on the red claw like ice. The red claw could not help but tremble, like a fallen leaf in the wind, and the kind that was hit by frost. Hei Shinjio was both relieved and jealous. But why was her spiritual beast not afraid of her but the gigolo? The red claw was like this, and so was the Goei Batsao. Why was it like this? Was it because men were more important than women? Di Baiming did not know that Hei Xinjia's thoughts had gone astray. He stared at the red claw and said indifferently, "If there's a next time, there's no need for you to exist anymore." Hei Shinjio saw that the red claw was trembling even more violently, so she immediately said, "That's right. If you bully me again, I won't let you out." The red claw knew that Di Baiming and Yun Chujio did not mean the same thing. Di Baiming said that there was no need for it to exist, and it was referring to its main body. The red claw trembled a few times, and in the end, it committed suicide. It was too scary outside, so it was better not to come out. Di Baiming frowned. "Has Goei Batsao been well-behaved recently? It hasn't been acting like a demon again, has it?" The strange grass in his dantian was shaking like a sieve. Guai Chao was very obedient. It hadn't done anything wrong. Fortunately, Hei Shinjio didn't complain. She said with a smile, "Goei Batsao has been very obedient recently. It's much better than De Hua, that foodie." Goei Batsao was extremely grateful. The little girl of Hei Xinjia's heart still had a conscience. Hei Shinjio thought of Sha'amo and said smugly, "Prince Charming, I have a new hobby recently." "What hobby?" "I don't think there's anything new about raising spirit pets, so I raised a demon to play with. It's the kind of old demon that has lived for a long time." Di Baiming. While Di Baiming was stunned, Yun Chujio told him about meeting Sha'amo in the Thunder Valley and said, "My parents and Wu JP's heads are most likely demons. I'm afraid that PL'll have to go to the demon continent in the future. It might be useful to raise this old demon." Even though Di Baiming had always been calm, he was still somewhat shocked after hearing Yun Chujio's story. Putting aside the matter of the demon god's contract, how could the demon race be put into the spirit beast bag? And that Qi Ying from before was also put into the spirit beast bag by little Jio. What exactly was going on? There were too many unsolved mysteries on little Jio. Hei Shinjio said with a grin, "Right, old demon and Buttface both said that only the demon race can become the master of the demon god's contract. Do you think PM also from the demon race?" Di Baiming laughed bitterly. "I don't even know who I am. How do I know if you are a devil race or not? However, it doesn't matter if you are a devil race or a human race as long as you are one." Yun Chujio recalled some of the storybooks she had read before and asked with a smile, "If I were a great devil that wreaked havoc on the common people, if I didn't die, everyone in the world would die. What would you do?" Di Baiming looked into Yun Chujio's eyes and said word by word, "What does their life and death have to do with me? I only care about you. I would rather let the world down than let Vaughn down." Chapter 5750. Did you not understand it as well? Yun Chujio heard Di Baiming's words and her eyes instantly curved into a crescent moon. She was not surprised by Di Baiming's reply at all because if it were her, she would have given the same answer. She had never been a person who stuck to the secular world. It was the same in her previous life and this life as well. When he became a god, she would accompany him to transcend all living things. When he became a devil, she would accompany him to turn the world around. In a sense, the two of them were the same type of person. A certain Jio's personality was just a little off track. The two of them chatted for a while before Yun Chujio called Ding Wenru in. The three of them had dinner together. Ding Wenru was trembling with fear during the dinner. This bay you could only watch from afar and not approach. As they got closer, the aura around them made it hard for them to breathe. Seeing that Yun Chujio was not affected at all, she sighed in her heart. Pervert was indeed a pervert. No wonder he was able to take advantage of Bayu, this good cabbage. As the upper house had a rule that no one was allowed to go out beyond the hour of the sun, Di Baiming left after dinner. Ding Wenru let out a long breath. Ching, the next time Bayu comes, I won't get involved. When I was eating just now, there were a few times when I almost choked. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. Was it really that scary? However, when this fellow thought of the cowardly appearance of the Red Claws and Goebatsao, he did not find it strange. At this moment, Ding Wenru said, "Oh right, Ching, are you going to attend a lecture at the Talisman Seal Division tomorrow? There are times when Talisman Seal knowledge is needed to refine weapons, so tomorrow, I'll go with you to attend the lecture." Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. "Sister Ding, from what you said, you're good at both refining weapons and making talismans?" Ding Wenru grinned. "No matter what. I used to be a genius on the continent, but I usually kept a low profile." Yun Chujio. Ding Wenru had a smug look on her face. Although she was not as abnormal as Ching, she was still confident in some aspects, such as refining weapons and making talismans. Although her talisman-making talent wasn't as good as artifact-making, her talisman-making talent was still the best among the younger generation in the original continent. Although the original continent used talisman paper to make talismans, and the Divine Inspiration continent used specially made jade tokens to make talismans, there shouldn't be much of a difference in essence. Ding Wenru thought about how she could. After all, not just anyone could make a pervert look at her in a new light. With this thought in mind, Ding Wenru had a beautiful dream for the entire night. The next morning, Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru went to the Talisman Seal Division next door. The new students of the Talisman Seal Division had probably heard about what happened to the new students of the Alchemy Division yesterday. Therefore, although they were all mocking Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru, no one jumped into He Xinjia's trap again. During the class, Ding Wenru was a little dumbfounded. The freshmen from the middle school had learned the basic knowledge of the Jade Talisman in the middle school. Therefore, the lecturer, Sima, skipped the basic knowledge and directly explained the drawing method of the Wild Flame Jade Talisman. Ding Wenru could only memorize what the lecturer said and think of a solution when she went back. She glanced at Yun Chujio, who was beside her, and saw that she seemed to be asleep with her eyes closed. She thought to herself, "Looks like this pervert Ching didn't understand as well. Her foundation is probably even worse than mine." After class, He Xinjio yawned and stretched. She said lazily, "Let's go out for a walk and then go to the canteen for lunch." Ding Wenru lowered her voice and said, Ching, did you not understand?" Yun Chujio looked at her indifferently and said, "Guess." Chapter 57-51. What's your name? Ding Wenru heard Yun Chujio say this and thought that Ching must be embarrassed to admit that she didn't understand. However, this was also normal. If she didn't understand, she naturally wouldn't understand. Ding Wenru comforted, "It's okay if you don't understand. I don't understand either. We haven't learned the basics of Jade Talisman seals, so naturally, we can't understand. Well, think of something when we go back." Yun Chujio nodded with a faint smile. "Okay." Ding Wenru felt that something was wrong, but she didn't know what it was. At this time, Yun Chujio had already walked out, and Ding Wenru quickly followed. Yun Chujio walked around the Talisman Seal branch, and finally arrived near the wall that was connected to the prehistoric branch. There was a large number of houses near the wall. Among them, there were also large buildings similar to the Hall of Preaching. These buildings were obviously different from the other buildings in the Talisman Division. Ding Wenru said indignantly, Ching, these buildings must have belonged to the Primal Division. The Talisman Division is really shameless." Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. She had to return the favor. She was not in a hurry. Let's go to the canteen. Ding Wenru was also a foodie. Her face immediately lit up with joy. She wished that she could grow a pair of wings and fly to the canteen immediately. The two of them did not return to the prehistoric branch after having lunch in the canteen. Yun Chujio went to the alchemy branch to freeload, while Ding Wenru went to the armament branch to freeload. The class that Yun Chujio freeloaded from today was not for the new students, but for the older students. Xiao Lianxiao was also one of them. Xiao Lianxiao saw Yun Chujio and her eyes immediately flashed with ruthlessness. Jia Qiuyun, who was beside her, curled her lips. This Yen Qingqing really doesn't have any self-awareness. It's one thing for her to be freeloading from the new students, but she actually came to listen to our alchemy class. Does she understand? Tao Yen snorted. I think she probably came here on purpose to annoy Lian Xiao. Otherwise, why would she come here all of a sudden to freeloading from the class? She's really shameless. Beiyu is also blind. He actually chose her over Lian Xiao. Shut up. Xiao Lianxiao angrily rebuked. Tao Yen said embarrassedly, Lian Xiao, I'm also fighting for you. Whether it's your appearance, family background, or cultivation, you are 100 times stronger than that Yen Oingcheng. Beiyu must have also been bewitched by this Yen Qingqing. He will wake up sooner or later. Xiao Lianqiu's expression was very ugly. She stared at Yun Chujio like a poisonous snake. If she was not. However, it did not matter. It was the easiest thing to deal with such trash. She did not need to do it herself. She just needed to kill someone else. She thought of the lecturer who was going to teach them today, and her face showed a proud expression. She did not need to do anything. Naturally, someone would want her to die. Yun Chujio naturally noticed Xiao Lianxiao. She narrowed her eyes and hopped around. She would kill you sooner or later. Yun Chujio found a seat and sat down. A moment later, a lecturer walked in. The lecturer's gaze fell on Yun Chujio and he couldn't help but be stunned. This student, I've never seen you before. What's your name? The lecturer asked. Yun Chujio stood up and bowed. I'm Yen Qingqing from the prehistoric branch. I'm here to listen in. The lecturer's pupils constricted and he revealed an amiable smile. You're indeed diligent and eager to learn. Sit down. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to ask me. Yun Chujio thanked him and sat down again. Chapter 57-52 was no big deal when the students heard the lecturer's words. They were all indignant. They felt that Lecturer Wang's attitude towards Yen Qingqing was too good, even better than his attitude towards them. What right did he have? Xiao Lianxiao revealed a cold smile. Yen Qingqing was going to be in trouble very soon. She just needed to wait patiently. Lecturer Wang and Lecturer Lu, who wanted to poison Yun Chujio previously, were cousins. The two of them had always been on good terms. Back then he had brought his students out for training, but when he returned he found out that Instructor Lu had gone mad. Even though he had looked for many people to treat him, they all shook their heads and sighed, saying that there was no possibility of a cure. As for the cause of the illness, many people felt that it was caused by excessive stimulation. In addition to Xiao Lianxiao adding fuel to the fire, Instructor Wang blamed this matter on Yun Chujio. The class was uneventful. Instructor Wang even asked Yun Chujio if she could understand it midway. He was very kind and patient. Yun Chujio's face was full of gratitude, but her heart was filled with vigilance. After the class, Yun Chujio returned to the prehistoric branch. After a while, Ding Wenru also came back eagerly. She took out a pen and paper and said with some self-satisfaction, Qingqing, did you remember the content of today's Talisman Seal class? Forget it, you've been sleeping all this time, so you definitely didn't pay attention to the lecture. I've memorized about 60 to 70% of it. I'll use a piece of paper to draw it now. Let's study it. As she spoke, Ding Wenru began to draw. After a while, she finished drawing the content that she had memorized. Qingqing, I'm not bragging. Although I'm best at refining artifacts, my talisman seal talent is also very good. If it weren't for the fact that I don't have the foundation of jade talisman seals, I could at least draw 80% of it. In the past, it was you who protected me. When I've learned how to refine artifacts and talisman seals, I'll protect you. Yun Chujio glanced at her indifferently. She didn't say anything and just let her talk. Buttface, who was in the spirit beast bag, curled his lips and said to the dumb cubs, "See, guess if Ding Wenru knows that the little fairy's talisman seal talent is 100 times stronger than hers, will she vomit blood?" Before the dumb cubs could say anything, Shaimo snorted coldly and said, "The mighty Cheong Chi has now become a sycophantic dog. What a disgrace. I gave you face, didn't I? I didn't beat you up today. Are you itching for a beating? Let's attack him together and beat him up." Yun Chujio used her spiritual sense to scan the spirit beast pouch and then looked at the smug Ding Wenru. She decided to show her kindness and let Ding Wenru revel in herself for a few days. After all, everyone had the right to be proud. At this moment, President Gu was in the study dealing with official business when the voice transmission talisman suddenly trembled. After President Gu used his spiritual sense to probe, he couldn't help but be stunned, and then cold sweat broke out on his forehead. As he hurried to the back of the mountain, he muttered in his heart, could it be that those two knew that the Primeval Academy had accepted 2 new students? Otherwise, why did they say that they would go into closed-door cultivation, but let him go over? President Gu felt a little guilty when he thought of the 2 new students that the prehistoric branch had accepted. If the 2 of them knew that the prehistoric branch had accepted 2 good-for-nothings, wouldn't they scold him to death? President Gu went to the back of the mountain in fear and trepidation and saw that the 2 old men who had agreed to enter closed-door cultivation were waiting for him. "Greetings, seniors." President Gu pretended to be calm and bowed to greet them. "Well, did anything happen in the academy in the past 2 days?" the short elder asked. President Gu wiped the cold sweat off his head and didn't know where to start. He mumbled, "It's not a big deal." He silently added in his heart that he had taken in 2 useless students for them. Chapter 57-53, Little Guzi. The short old man frowned slightly. "But what's the matter?" The tall old man glared at President Gu and pursed his lips. "Little Guzi, you're also a dignified president. Can you stop acting like a bullied little wife? If you don't know, you'll think that we 2 old men are bullying you." President Gus' heart was filled with bitterness. You guys were bullying people in the first place, all right. He had a name and a name. Who the hell was Little Guzi? However, their seniority was higher than his, and their cultivation was higher than his. What could he do? He could only pretend to be a quail. President Gu gritted his teeth and was ready to tell the truth. Actually. Okay, let's not talk about trivial matters. We called you here because we suddenly remembered something. In half a year, the 100-year Grand Competition will be held. We lost to the Divine Enlightenment Academy in the last 100-year Grand Competition, which made Chi-Chin very proud. This time, we must win no matter what. You should start selecting the candidates to participate in the 100-year Grand Competition now. After the stage, throw the monkeys into the 6 Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. If there are no accidents, let the top 50 take part in the 100-year Grand Competition. The tall old man said impatiently. President Gu was already used to the tall old man's way of doing things, so he didn't dare to say anything more. He quickly nodded and agreed. Seeing that he agreed, the tall old man waved his hand. "All right, we're going into seclusion. If there's nothing important, don't come and disturb our cultivation. Let's go back." President Gu felt as if he had been granted amnesty. After bowing, he turned around and left. Sigh. If it wasn't for the fact that the primal region hasn't been able to recruit any good seedlings, how would we need those monkeys from the other branches? What a pity, the tall old man said with a sigh. The short old man echoed, "That's right. There are many students with high talent, but there are too few students who fit our primal region. I'm afraid that the primal region will end in our hands." Hearing that, President Gu staggered and almost fell into the ravine. That doesn't exist. You already have students now. It's just that, you're a little useless. President Gu considered it over and over again, but he still gave up on the idea of telling the truth. Firstly, he was afraid of being scolded. Secondly, he felt that Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru would probably be sent back to the lower house very soon, so he might as well not say it. After President Gu flew back to his study room, he felt that it was necessary to understand the study situation of the only 2 students of the prehistoric branch. Thus, he took out his identity jade token and asked Manager Yang, "How have Yen Qingqing and Ding Wenru performed these 2 days? Have they really gone to the other branches to listen in?" A moment later, Manager Yang replied, "Their performance is not bad. They will go to the other branches to listen in every day." However, Yen Qingqing won a bet yesterday that the freshmen of the alchemy branch would get 10 high-grade spirit stones each. President Gu. Was it so easy to earn money now? She easily earned hundreds of thousands of high-grade spirit stones? No wonder Yen Qingqing was willing to spend money to buy a flag. It turned out that it was so easy for her to get money. However, were the freshmen of the alchemy branch idiots? Did they just jump into the pit that they had dug so easily? Wouldn't it be interesting if this mischievous Yen Qingqing faced those 2 from the back of the mountain? President Gus thought only flashed through his mind. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. He was really thinking too much. That Yen Qingqing's cultivation was low and she would be sent back to the lower house very soon. She wouldn't have the chance to meet those 2 at all. Chapter 57-54. No spiritual pet is willing to acknowledge me as its master Chu. Chu. Hey Shinjio, who was talking to a certain voice transmission talisman, sneezed twice and mumbled, "Damn it, who is scolding me?" This guy was quite satisfied with the current situation. He could listen to the alchemy and talisman refining, and he could also see the gigolo. It was simply wonderful. After breakfast the next day, this guy decided to go to the beast taming institution for a walk. Although she felt that there was no method more effective than her bluffing, but if she could learn some useful things, it would also be good. B0x. Calm. Moreover, after listening to a few classes, if there was anything in the future, she could also have some reasonable excuses. The beast taming department was relatively far from the prehistoric department. Yun Chujio walked for less than an hour before she arrived at the beast taming department. The biggest difference between the beast master faculty and the other faculties was that in the beast master faculty, spirit beasts could be released and spirit beasts that followed their masters could be seen everywhere. The students of the beast master faculty basically had many spirit beasts. Therefore, when Yun Chujio entered, she saw many students followed by several spirit beasts. Coincidentally, they were the new students who had entered the faculty this time. Those students also saw Yun Chujio, and immediately all kinds of sarcasm and ridicule came to their faces. TSK, did you see that? That trash Yen Qingqing actually came to our beast taming department. What is she doing here? Could it be that she wants to audit the courses of our beast taming department? I guess so. She is really shameless, thinking that everyone can learn beast taming techniques? A trash like her wants to learn beast taming techniques? What a joke. She will have a hard time. We are having a practical class today, and the demonic beasts in the beast enclosure can scare her half to death. Especially the demonic beasts in the dome hut, they were even more unruly and unruly. The older students would be terrified when they saw them, and this Yen Qingqing would definitely be so scared that she would faint. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and ignored the ridicule of the new students. She followed them to the beast enclosure. There was a barrier outside the monster enclosure, and many monsters were kept inside. A square-faced instructor was already waiting outside the enclosure. After seeing everyone, he said, "This is your first time entering the monster enclosure, so I must emphasize some things to pay attention to. First, after entering the enclosure, no one can leave the team without permission. Otherwise, they will bear the consequences. Secondly, without permission, no one is allowed to provoke the demon beasts, especially the demon beasts in the dome." Hearing this, everyone was both excited and nervous. According to Instructor Zhu's words, they would visit the dome today. They heard that the demon beasts in the dome were all captured from the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. These demon beasts were abnormally fierce. If one of them was successfully controlled, it would be enough to brag in the demon beast branch for a long time. After Instructor Zhu finished talking about the things to take note of, he glanced at the spiritual pets beside everyone. He saw Yun Chujio standing alone at the side and frowned. "This student, where is your spiritual pet?" Yun Chujio sighed. "Instructor Zhu, I am Yen Qingqing from the prehistoric branch. My cultivation is low and my aptitude is not good, so no spiritual pets are willing to acknowledge me as their master." Inside the spiritual beast bag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cute and stupid. "Master, is it really good for you to lie like this? You don't have a spiritual pet? Then what are we? Are we ghosts? You are already so awesome that you want to raise the demon race to play, so is it appropriate for you to still pretend to be a little trashier?" The new students of the Beast Master institution sneered one after another. This Yen Qingqing finally had some self-awareness. Chapter 57-55 Demon Beasts in the Dome. Instructor Zhu looked at Yun Chujio somewhat speechlessly. Aptitude is only one aspect. The day after tomorrow's hard work is also very important. As long as you diligently cultivate, you will definitely gain something. Instructor Zhu's attitude was quite good, and his words were also quite sincere. Yun Chujio nodded gratefully. "Instructor Zhu, I understand. I will definitely cultivate well in the future and not disappoint your expectations of me. I am determined to become the most outstanding audit student in the Beast Master faculty." Instructor Zhu. "You are the only audit student in total, okay? You are naturally the most outstanding. B0x. Calm. Instructor Zhu opened the enchantment of the monster enclosure and led everyone into the monster enclosure. The students cried out in surprise. This was also their first time entering the monster enclosure. They were in a long corridor separated by an enchantment. Next to it was a grassland. In the distance, they could see the ocean, desert, and other scenes. Presumably, these scenes were to better simulate the original living environment of the demon beasts. After Instructor Zhu and his group entered, they saw their demon beasts and let out unhappy roars. Some even ran to the vicinity of the long corridor to attack the barrier. However, their attacks were like ants trying to shake a tree. They did not damage the barrier at all. When the students saw those demon beasts, they were quite excited. They wished they could immediately show their skills and try to control them. Instructor Zhu explained the characteristics and weaknesses of the demon beasts he saw. His main purpose today was to bring the new students in for a visit. Therefore, the number of demon beasts he explained wasn't much. Even so, Yun Chujio listened with great interest. This guy felt that his decision to come over to the beast taming class was the right one. At least Instructor Zhu was more reliable and the content was very practical. After passing through the ocean scene, a barrier that was different from the other scenes appeared in front of the long corridor. This barrier was obviously much stronger than the other places. There was even a dense net covering the inside of the barrier, and there were more than a dozen demon beasts either standing or lying inside. A few freshmen who were slightly less courageous immediately cried out in surprise, "Heavens, is this the dome? Are these the demon beasts captured on the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion? This is too terrifying." Although the demonic beasts in the dome could be called by their names, they emitted a thick and fierce aura. Even though they were separated by a net and a barrier, Instructor Zhu pointed at the demonic beasts in the dome and said, "These demonic beasts have a very thick and fierce aura. Before you are fully confident, do not try to control them." The reason why Instructor Zhu said so was that the demonic beast enclosure was open to students on specific days, so they could practice their beast controlling skills. After the students selected the demonic beasts, the instructor in the demonic beast enclosure would send the demonic beasts to a specific beast controlling room for the students to practice. Instructor Zhu continued, "He'll give you 15 minutes to observe these demonic beasts. Don't get too close." The new students immediately pointed at the demonic beasts in the hut and discussed animatedly, while Yun Chujio was pushed to the back. She had even seen beasts like Han Dun and Cheong Chi, so she was naturally not interested in these demonic beasts. Moreover, this guy was hungry. In her eyes, those demonic beasts instantly turned into boiled pork, braised pork knuckles, braised pork ribs. At the same time, the students who were observing those demonic beasts were stunned to find that those demonic beasts that were originally emitting a ferocious aura suddenly began to tremble. One of them even fainted with a choking sound. Chapter 57-56 was because he was hungry, right? The confused crowd. What happened to being very fierce? What happened to being very dangerous? What happened to being unruly? What the hell were these shivering little wretches? Instructor Zhu was also at a loss and puzzled. What was going on with these demonic beasts? How did they suddenly become like this? They seemed to have received a huge shock. Regardless of whether it was him or these students, they would not pose any threat to these demonic beasts. What were they afraid of? Hei Xinjiu was also at a loss. She was only thinking about braised pork ribs. Why were these demonic beasts so afraid? B0X. Calm, this fellow still had some self-awareness. He knew that it was definitely not because of the delicacies that she had just thought of. Then, the question was, why did these demonic beasts suddenly have a seizure? After all, if she had the ability, she would not need to be so arrogant when she encountered demonic beasts. She could just think of all kinds of delicacies directly. However, this fellow was extremely hungry now and did not have the mood to think too much. She secretly took out a meat bun and began to eat it. No matter what, it was more important to fill her stomach first. Everyone's attention was on the demonic beasts in the dome. At first, no one noticed her, but the fragrance of the meat buns spread out and some students saw it. Instructor Zhu, Yan Qingcheng, actually ate during class. Instructor Zhu was originally a little irritated because of the abnormal behavior of these demonic beasts, so she immediately said unhappily, "Yan Qingcheng, why did you violate the classroom rules?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Instructor Zhu, I saw that those demonic beasts were a little dispirited, so I ate some meat buns to stimulate them. Instructor Zhu. Could he find an excuse to be more attentive? To stimulate the demonic beasts? I've never heard of any demonic beasts that like to eat meat buns. The most annoying thing was that when he was talking to Yan Qingcheng, she was still stuffing meat buns into her mouth, as if she was the reincarnation of a starving ghost. Instructor Zhu's face darkened. He pointed at the demonic beasts in the dome and said, "Nonsense. How could the meat buns stimulate these demonic beasts?" Instructor Zhu's words came to an abrupt end because he was stunned to find that the demonic beasts were really more energetic. Even the unconscious demonic beast had woken up. Yun Chujia's eyes also widened. Oh my, she was just casually saying it, but it really worked? So these demonic beasts were hungry? Instructor Zhu, although these demonic beasts are prisoners, we can't torture them. Look at how hungry they are, it's so pitiful. Hei Xinjiu said hypocritically. She had completely forgotten that she wanted to turn these demonic beasts into plates of delicious food just now. Instructor Zhu. I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Now, follow me and leave this place. The students could only follow Instructor Zhu out of the dome hut with dumbfounded expressions. On the way back, Hei Xinjiu deliberately looked at those ordinary demonic beasts and imagined turning them into bowls of braised meat. However, there was nothing abnormal about those demonic beasts. Therefore, she was even more certain that the abnormality of the demonic beasts in the dome had nothing to do with her. This fellow ate all the way and successfully added another name to everyone's impression of her good-for-nothing. After Yun Chujio returned to the primeval institution, she immediately let out her red claws to feed the spiritual stones. Ding Wenru felt her heart ache as she watched from the side. It was realv expensive to raise such a glutton. She suddenly frowned. Oh right, Qingqing, I heard a piece of news in the armament division today. Previously, Bei Yu and the others had cancelled their training due to the beast tide. It's said that they will be going out to train again in 3 days. Chapter 57-57. In going to Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. Going for experiential learning again? Who are the people going? It's said that each branch has a quota. The spiritual power branch is Beiyu, the alchemy branch is Xiao Lianxiao, the array branch is Bai Yuechen, the beast master branch is Jiang Shuangli, The artifact refining branch is Nangongshi, and the talisman branch is Ji Lingfeng. This time, Lingfeng stepped on the moon, and all the 4 unrivaled young masters in the world were gathered. It was said that Bai Yuechen was a new student who had just entered from the middle school, so he was not the representative of the array division. No one knew what methods he had used, but he was the one who had been replaced. Qingqing, that Xiao Lianxiao is going too. She won't have any designs on the Northern Imperial Army, right? Ding Wenru said with a gossipy expression. B0x. Calm Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. It's fine because I want to go too. With me around, that little bitch Xiao Lianxiao can only hope for nothing. Ding Wenru felt that Yun Chujio was talking nonsense. Qingqing, these people are all carefully selected. Even if you want to go, the academy will not agree. Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. I have my own ways. 3 days later, at the entrance of the upper academy, Xiao Lianxiao, who was meticulously dressed, was enjoying the treatment of being adored by the stars. Ji Lingfeng's attentiveness was needless to say. Jiang Shuangli from the Beastmaster Division also had a good impression of Xiao Lianxiao. After all, Xiao Lianqiao's family background, appearance, and cultivation were all outstanding. As for Bai Yuechen, who had just passed the middle school entrance exam to the upper school, he also came forward to show his solicitude. Nangongshi from the Weapon Refining Division, on the other hand, was not interested in Xiao Lianxiao. He stood at the side with an indifferent expression. He had always been quiet and taciturn, so everyone did not take it to heart. After Ji Lingfeng showed his solicitude, he said, Beiyu was late last time, but this time he's actually late again. This is really too much. Jiang Shuangli echoed, that's right, does he really think he's some amazing person? He's always so arrogant. If you ask me, there are plenty of people who are more outstanding than him in the spirit faculty, so I shouldn't let him. Bai Yuechen curled his lips. I think he's deliberately putting on an aloof appearance, but in reality he's full of schemes to attract everyone's attention. Just like now, he's obviously late on purpose to make us all wait for him. Bai Yuechen was very dissatisfied with Beiyu. The reason was very simple. He had initially shown during the entrance examination, but who would have thought that the limelight would be snatched away by Beiyu, who had directly entered the upper house. One could imagine the frustration in his heart. Xiao Lianxiao snorted coldly. Isn't it not time to gather yet? Why are you all in such a hurry? Ji Lingfeng and the others immediately choked, their dissatisfaction towards Beiyu growing. At this moment, Director Xiaofu, who was leading the team, walked over. After Xiao Lianxiao and the others bowed, Director Xiaofu swept his gaze over them. Seeing that Beiyu had not arrived yet, he could not help but frown. To be honest, if Xiao Lianxiao had not taken a liking to Beiyu, he would not have liked Beiyu very much. Putting aside the reason for Yan Qingqing, he felt that Beiyu was really hard to control. Sometimes, in front of Beiyu, he always felt like he was being suppressed. This kind of feeling made him very unhappy. However, Xiao Lianxiao liked him, so he could only suppress his displeasure and try his best to set them up. Beiyu is here. Isn't that trash Yan Qingqing by his side? This Yan Qingqing is really thick-skinned. Is she reluctantly sending them off? Bai Yuechen pointed at the 2 people in the distance and said. Xiao Lianqiao's expression immediately darkened, but she soon revealed a smug look. It was good that Yan Qingqing had come. It was just enough to stimulate her. After all, she could only watch as she and Beiyu went out to train, while she, this little trash, could only stay in the academy. When they met again, Beiyu would already be with her. At that time, Yan Qingqing would definitely be so angry that she would die. At the thought of Yan Qingqing being so angry that she would vomit blood, Xiao Lianqiao's expression became even more smug. Chapter 57-58. A moment later, Yun Chujio and Di Baiming walked to the front of the crowd. Xiao Lianxiao glanced at Yun Chujio and said proudly, Yan Qingqing, you can send them here. After all, you can't leave the academy. Don't worry, I will take good care of Beiyu. Yun Chujio glanced at her and said with a smile, Normally, I won't trouble others with what I can do, so it's better for me to take care of Beiyu myself. That's not right. After all, PM a little trash. Brother Bei Yu can't bear to see me suffer, so it's always Brother Bei Yu who takes care of me. Xiao Lianxiao was stunned at first, then she sneered, Yan Qingqing, is there something wrong with your brain? Don't tell me you want to train with us? B0X. Calm, we are the elites carefully selected by the various branches. You're not from the 6 branches, what right do you have to go? Hurry up and get lost. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes, I am the representative of the primeval branch. It's really funny, can the primeval branch be compared to our 6 branches? Do you think you can find an excuse to go with us to train? How naive! Xiao Lianxiao said disdainfully. Yun Chujio said unhurriedly, you are wrong to say that, why can't the primeval branch be compared to the 6 branches? Although the number of people in the prehistoric branch was small, it was still a proper branch. Don't you agree, Director Xiaofu? Director Xiaofu said with a gloomy face, the training this time doesn't include the prehistoric branch. You should leave quickly, or else you will be punished according to the rules of the branch. Yun Chujio smiled faintly, Director Xiaofu, PM really sorry. I went to ask President Gu yesterday. He said that he would treat everyone equally. No matter what kind of activities in the future, our prehistoric branch can participate. If you don't believe me, you can ask President Gu. Vice President Xiao used his identity jade token to ask President Gu. His expression became more and more unsightly. He coldly said, since you insist on participating in the experiential learning, if anything happens, I will not be responsible. Vice President Xiao, you can rest assured about this. Big Brother Beiyu will protect me. He Xinjiao held Di Baiming's arm and said happily. Xiao Lianxiao almost died from anger. She gritted her teeth. It was not bad to let Yan Qingqing go with them. When the time came, she would find an opportunity to kill her. After everyone boarded the ship, He Xinjiao held Di Baiming's arm and said sweetly, Big Brother Beiyu, let's go. Let's go fishing on the deck. Xiao Lianxiao quickly said, the sun is very hot outside. Why don't we play chess and drink tea in the cabin? Even if it's training, it's better than going fishing. After Xiao Lianxiao finished speaking, she looked at Beiyu with anti. Unfortunately, Beiyu did not even look at her, let alone respond to her. He directly left the cabin with Yun Chujio. Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Ji Lingfeng fawned over her and said, Junior sister Lianxiao, let's play chess. I heard that your chess skills are extraordinary. It's a good opportunity to experience it. Although Xiao Lianxiao was unwilling, she still agreed. The hatred in her heart towards Yun Chujio grew even stronger. On the deck, He Xinjiao was nestled in Di Baiming's arms, fishing. The two of them did not speak, but their hearts were filled with sweetness. This kind of time was too rare for the two of them. Although they could not talk about some secret matters, being able to cuddle together was enough to satisfy them. A moment later, a fish took the bait. Yun Chujio immediately shouted excitedly, Ha! A fish has taken the bait. It's time to grill the fish. The two immediately grilled the fish on the deck, talking and laughing as they ate. Chapter 57-59 Bloodthirsty Insect Valley. Inside the cabin, Xiao Lianxiao heard Yun Chujio's silver bell-like laughter and angrily crushed the chess pieces in her hands into fine powder. Ji Lingfeng said with a hint of ridicule, Junior sister Lianxiao, I think Beiyu really likes that Yan Qingqing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so obedient to her. He really looks for whoever he wants. One pretends to be cold and the other is trash. They're a perfect match. Xiao Lianxiao immediately stood up and said impatiently, I'm not going down. I'm going to the deck to get some fresh air. Ji Lingfeng's eyes flashed as he followed her out. B0X. Calm Bai Yuechen and Jiang Shuangli looked at each other and followed her out. On the other hand, Nan Gongshi from the refining department was still cultivating in a corner of the cabin, as if he did not hear the conversation between Xiao Lianxiao and the others. Xiao Lianxiao had just stepped out of the cabin when she smelled the aroma of grilled fish. What she saw made her even more jealous. She saw that Beiyu was carefully helping Yan Qingqing pick out the fish bones and placing the fish meat on the plate in front of Yun Chujio. That shameless Yan Qingqing actually said slyly, Brother Beiyu, my hand hurts. Can you feed me? Beiyu revealed a loving smile when he heard that. He actually fed Yan Qingqing the fish meat. Xiao Lianqiu's heart was filled with unwillingness and anger. On what basis? On what basis could Beiyu not see how good she was? On what basis did he treat this trash, Yan Qingqing, so well? Xiao Lianqiu finally managed to suppress the urge to rush forward and kill Yun Chujio. It didn't matter. When they reached the training location, she had 100 ways to kill Yan Qingqing. In the next few days, Yun Chujio showed off her love and dog food along the way, making Xiao Lianqiu so angry that she almost vomited blood. Ji Lingfeng, Bai Yuechen, and Jiang Shuangli were trying to please Xiao Lianqiu. Only Nan Gongshi was focused on his cultivation. Director Xiaofu also watched coldly and didn't interfere. The location for everyone's training was the bloodthirsty insect valley. As the name implied, there were many demonic insects in the bloodthirsty insect valley. Their goal was not to hunt demonic insects, but to gather spiritual herbs and seeds. There were many unique spiritual herbs in the bloodthirsty insect valley. Collecting these spiritual herbs and seeds could enrich the myriad herb garden of the alchemy division. The reason why the team included the students of the major divisions was to train their division of labor and cooperation. On this day, the flying spiritual device landed at the entrance of the bloodthirsty insect valley. Director Xiaofu said seriously, "There are many dem. Some of them are very dangerous. Therefore, no one is allowed to act on their own or they will bear the consequences. Alright, let's enter the valley now." As soon as they entered the bloodthirsty insect valley, everyone was amazed by the spiritual herbs and plants everywhere. No wonder the academy asked them to come here to collect herbs and seeds. The vegetation here was indeed very rich. However, the herbs at the entrance of the insect valley were very ordinary. They were not the target of their collection. Everyone continued to enter. Xiao Lianqiu looked at Yun Chujio, who was jumping up and down while holding Di Baiming's arm. She tightened her hands under her sleeves and walked forward to hand over a few porcelain bottles. "Yan Qingqing, here are your pills." Yun Chujio took the few porcelain bottles. There were labels on them. They were nothing more than pills to stop bleeding, replenish spiritual energy, and detoxify. He Xinjiu said with a face full of shame, "Thank you so much, Senior Xiao. I didn't expect Senior Xiao to be so magnanimous and forget about the past. Pim's so ashamed. Brother Beiyu is already mine. I think Ji Lingfeng, Bai Yuechen, and Jiang Shuangli are not bad either. It's good that you choose one of them. Don't have any ideas about my brother Beiyu in the future." Chapter 5760 Giant Thorn Ant Xiao Lianqiu gritted her teeth and said against her will, "What you said makes sense. Let bygones be bygones." Yun Chujio immediately looked at Ji Lingfeng and the other two with a smile. Her scrutinizing gaze was as if she was buying pork at a market. "Although the three of you are not as good-looking as my big brother Beiyu, and although you don't have as outstanding a temperament as my big brother Beiyu, and although you are not as talented as my big brother Beiyu, you are still not bad. You are perfect for Senior Xiao. After all, Senior Xiao is much worse than me. She's not as pretty or smart as me, and she's not as likable as me." Xiao Lianqiu and the others were so angry that their noses almost went crooked. B0x. Calm, she was clearly praising herself and Beiyu, and belittling them. Beiyu was fine, but this Yan Qingqing actually had the face to say that she was prettier than Xiao Lianqiu? Was she blind? Xiao Lianqiu's face was gloomy, and she was determined. "Yan Qingqing, you won't be able to smile very soon." The few bottles of pills that she gave Yun Chujio, the pills that could stop bleeding and replenish spiritual power, were not a problem. However, the pills that could detoxify the poison had been tampered with by her. Not only would it not detoxify the poison, but it would also accelerate the spread of the poison. Many demonic insects in the bloodthirsty insect valley were highly toxic. Yan Qingqing, this trash, would definitely be poisoned. When the time came, she would definitely consume the detoxification pills. Moreover, the demonic insects in the bloodthirsty insect valley were everywhere. They might directly bite her to death. Xiao Lianqiu thought that Yun Chujio would die very soon, so she felt a little better after being angered by Yun Chujio to the point that she wanted to vomit blood. At this moment, Jiang Shuangli said somewhat ostentatiously, "There are a lot of double-leaf golden needle grass here. There will definitely be accompanying demonic insects, giant thorn ants. Giant thorn ants can release corrosive venom, so everyone should be careful. However, everyone doesn't have to worry too much. Giant thorn ants have a fatal weakness, which is that they don't have eyes. They can only rely on the shaking of the ground to sense the position of their prey. As long as we are careful, we can safely pass through." Jiang Shuangli was a student of the Beastmaster School, so he was very familiar with the habits of all kinds of demonic beasts. Therefore, although he was deliberately showing off, everyone didn't have any antipathy. Xiao Lianqiu's eyes flashed. Yan Qingcheng's cultivation was much lower than theirs, and her movement technique must be very poor. She might be sprayed by the venom of the giant thorn ants. After a moment, as expected, many giant thorn ants appeared. Those giant thorn ants felt the weak tremble of the ground and began to spray venom. Everyone hurriedly dodged and nimbly moved around. "Oh my God! This is too scary. What the hell is this thing? It was so close to hitting me. It was so close, so close. My goodness, my legs are a little weak. I can't run anymore. It's over, it's over. I'm going to feed the ants." Xiao Lianxiao listened to Yun Chujio's wails and was secretly pleased. She could not wait for the giant ants to spray venom on Yun Chujio's body in the next moment. However, every time Yun Chujio narrowly avoided the venom, she did not get hit. Xiao Lianxiao gritted her teeth. This bitch's luck was not bad. Brother Beiyu, I can't take it anymore. I'm so scared that my legs are weak. Carry me." Hey Shinjio said slyly. Di Baiming did not say anything. He immediately bent down and carried Yun Chujio on his back. Xiao Lianqiu's eyes were about to spit fire. She gritted her teeth and said, "Beiyu, this bloodthirsty insect valley is very dangerous. Carrying Yan Qingqing will use up a lot of energy. Let her walk on her own." Di Baiming did not even look at her as he strode forward. Chapter 5761. You're so fat. Hey Shinjio turned around and said with a smile, "Senior Xiao, are you jealous that I have someone to carry me? You can ask Ji Lingfeng and the others to carry you. However, you're so fat, I'm afraid they can't carry you." Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she was twitching. How was she fat? She gritted her teeth and said, "I can walk on my own. I won't drag others down for my own selfish desires." Yun Chujio bared her white teeth and said, "What you said makes sense, but Brother Beiyu isn't someone else. He's my wife." B0X. Calm Nangong Shi, who had been silent the entire time, staggered and almost fell. Then, he continued to walk forward with a straight face as if nothing had happened. The next 2 days of gathering went smoothly. Although everyone was slightly injured, they were all fine. Xiao Lianxiao saw that He Xinjiu was still alive and kicking. She gritted her teeth in anger. Every time this damn Yan Qingqing was in danger, Beiyu would arrive in time, so she was not injured at all. No, she had to separate Yan Qingqing from Beiyu. Otherwise, there was no way to get rid of Yan Qingqing. Xiao Lianxiao thought of this and said to Director Xiaofu, "Second uncle, it's a little inefficient for us to work together. Moreover, this isn't the core area of the bloodthirsty insect valley. There aren't any overly dangerous demonic insects. Why don't we work in groups?" Vice Director Xiaofu naturally knew what Xiao Lianxiao was thinking. He immediately nodded, "All right, then we'll do as you say. Ji Lingfeng, Jiang Shuangli, Xiao Lianxiao, and Yan Qingqing will work in a group. You guys will head to the east to collect. Beiyu, Bai Yuechen, and Nangong Shi will work in a group. You guys will go to the west to collect. If you encounter any danger, send me a message. I'll immediately head over to support you." Di Baiming saw the look in Yun Chujia's eyes and swallowed his words of refusal. Immediately, the two groups moved separately. Xiao Lianqiu's attitude towards Yun Chujio was very cordial. "Yan Qingqing, your cultivation is the lowest. You must follow us closely, understand?" "Senior Xiao, I understand. You are really a good person, Yun Chujio said gratefully. Xiao Lianxiao avoided her gaze and said, we are classmates of the academy, so we should care about each other. To change the topic, Xiao Lianxiao pointed to the front and said, do you see the black fruits on the vines? Those are the seeds of the Lingxiao vine. Let's go and collect some. Wait. Jiang Shuangli stopped her and said, there are many bitter peony flowers blooming near the Lingxiao vine. The two-headed giant bee likes the pollen of the bitter peony flowers. Don't rush there. Xiao Lianxiao frowned. But I don't see the two-headed giant bee. How about this, Yan Qingqing, your movement technique is not bad. You go and scout the way. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. My stomach hurts. Xiao Lianxiao. Ji Lingfeng snorted coldly at the side. Yan Qingqing, we are a team. You can't be sneaky. If you don't go, we won't care about you. Yun Chujio sighed. All right, I'll check if there are two-headed giant bees. Xiao Lianxiao was delighted. If there were two-headed giant bees hiding in the flowers, Yan Qingqing would definitely be attacked. She might even die. Xiao Lianxiao was secretly happy, but Yun Chujio did not step forward. Instead, she took out a handful of stones from her storage ring and threw them at the flowers. As she threw them, she said, I don't understand. Why do you have to go over and scout? Why don't you just throw a few stones? Xiao Lianxiao and the other two. Chapter 5762 only had a different division of labor. The pebble fell into the flower bush, but there was no abnormal reaction. Xiao Lianxiao and the other two, whose faces were stiff, ignored He Xinjiao and walked past her. He Xinjiao pursed her lips. She was so stupid that she still wanted to scheme against her? She swaggered behind the three to the front of the skyscraping vine. The skyscraping vine clung to the trees and even climbed to the top of the tall trees. There were many sharp thorns on the vine, so one had to be extra careful when picking the fruits. B0x. Calm when Xiao Lianxiao was picking the fruits, she found that Yun Chujio did not make a move, but was standing at the side shamelessly. She immediately scolded, Yan Qingqing, you are slacking again. Yun Chujio looked innocent. I am not slacking. You are all picking the seeds, I am in charge of vigilance. What if there were demonic insects or demonic beasts attacking? We just have different division of labor. It's not right for you to criticize me like this. Xiao Lianxiao choked so hard that she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, what Yun Chujio said made sense. Since that's the case, you pick the fruits and you'll be in charge of being on guard. Xiao Lianxiao said with a livid face. Senior Xiao, you're from the alchemy division, so you're more familiar with medicinal herbs. As for me, I'm a waste. What if I pick the wrong ones? So it's better for me to be in charge of being on guard. Senior Xiao, you'd better hurry up and work. Don't slack off. By talking to Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth. As she was distracted, her hand was cut by the spike on the Lingxiao vine, and she immediately cried out in surprise. Ji Lingfeng quickly went up to her. Junior sister Lianxiao, are you okay? Hurry up and bandage it. Yan Qingqing, junior sister Lianxiao is injured. Let junior sister Lianxiao be in charge of vigilance. You come and pick the fruit. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Senior sister Xiao, if you want to be in charge of guarding, just say it. Do you have to intentionally break your hand? Your bodice hair and skin are damaged by your parents. You don't dare to damage them. You've been filial since the beginning. What you've done is too unfilial. Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she was dumbfounded. No need, I can hold on. Xiao Lianxiao gritted her teeth and said, Good, very good. Initially, she wanted to kill this Yan Qingqing without leaving a trace. Since she was courting death, then she didn't have to worry too much. Even if she found an opportunity to kill Yan Qingqing, Ji Lingfeng and Jiang Shuangli wouldn't betray her. Moreover, the person leading the team was her second uncle. In the end, this matter could only be put to rest. As for Beiyu, he was only bewitched by this bitch, Yan Qingqing. Once she died, as time passed, he would forget about it. Therefore, Yan Qingqing must die. At this moment, Yun Chujio pointed into the distance and said, The honey maker is here. Xiao Lianxiao and the other two were dumbfounded. What did she mean by the honeymaker is here? When they saw a large patch of black fog rushing over from afar, their expressions changed drastically. Jiang Shuangli exclaimed, "It's Thetwo-headed giant bee. Quickly leave this place. Quick!" Before Jiang Shuangli could finish his words, Yun Chujiu ran away, in a blink of an eye. Jiang Shuangli and the other two were speechless. The three of them gritted their teeth and followed closely behind. This Yan Qingqing was not enthusiastic about anything else, but she was very enthusiastic about running away. The two-headed giant bees stopped chasing after them after a distance. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. Ji Lingfeng said angrily, "Yan Qingqing, not only are you sneaky and cunning, you only care about running away when you encounter danger. You've gone too far." Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. "A person must have a conscience. If I didn't give you a warning, you would have already been stung until your faces were covered. It's fine if you don't appreciate me, but you actually have the nerve to blame me?" Chapter 5763 Are You Stupid? Ji Lingfeng was rendered speechless by her words. He snorted coldly, sharp-tongued. "A good-for-nothing like you shouldn't come here and drag us down." Yun Chujiu sized him up a few times, causing Ji Lingfeng's hair to stand on end. She said, What are you looking at?" Yun Chujiu pursed her lips. "I'm looking at which of your two legs is a drag. B0x. Besides, how am I a drag? I remember that you ran the slowest just now, right? You should be the one dragging us down." "Yan Qingqing, how dare you talk to me like that? You're courting death." Ji Lingfeng shouted angrily out of embarrassment. "What? You want to fight? You killed your classmates. Be careful not to be expelled from the academy." Yun Chujiu's expression was unbridled. Ji Lingfeng was furious and sneered. "Yan Qingqing, you're taking yourself too seriously. Even if I kill you, the academy won't do anything to me. Besides, do you think PM's stupid enough to say that I killed you? When the time comes, he'll say that you were bitten to death by a demonic beast, and with Junior Lian Xiao and Jiang Shuangli as witnesses, your death will be in vain." Yun Chujiu immediately asked in horror and disbelief, "Senior Xiao, Senior Jiang, will you really help him cover it up?" Due to Yun Chujiu's display of affection and deliberate provocation along the way, Xiao Lianxiao had completely lost her patience. She snorted coldly and said, "Trash like you shouldn't have appeared in the upper house in the first place. Ji Lingfeng killing you can be considered a credit, so of course I won't divulge the secret." Yun Chujiu looked at Jiang Shuangli. "Senior Jiang, there hasn't been any conflict between us. You also want to kill me?" Jiang Shuangli raised his chin. "As long as Junior Lianxiao is happy, what does your life or death have to do with me? I only blame you for not appearing in the upper house, and even more so for coming here with us." The pride on Ji Lingfeng's face grew stronger, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. In his opinion, killing this stupid girl who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth was as easy as flipping his hand. Yun Chujiu looked at Ji Lingfeng as if he was a fool. "Ji Lingfeng, do you think you're stupid? If I die, you'll have even less chance of getting Xiao Lianxiao. Because once I die, Xiao Lianxiao will shamelessly stick to my big brother Beiyu." Ji Lingfeng was stunned. Yes, now that Yan Qingqing was sticking to Beiyu, he had a chance to court Xiao Lianxiao. If Yan Qingqing died, wouldn't he dig a hole for himself? Ji Lingfeng thought of something and sneered, "You don't have to provoke me and junior sister Lianxiao. I didn't want to kill you, I was just trying to scare you." Jiang Shuangli, who was at the side, also thought of this and hurriedly said, all right. We are. Wouldn't it be a joke if we said that we were going to fight and kill each other? Let's hurry up and pick the herbs and seeds." Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth. It seemed that if she wanted to kill this bitch, Yan Qingqing, she could only find an opportunity to do it herself. Unfortunately, every time they picked, Yun Chujiu would shamelessly take the initiative to be on guard. Xiao Lianxiao did not find an opportunity to make a move. Because every time they found a dangerous situation, He Xinjiu escaped the fastest. Therefore, Xiao Lianxiao and the other two were in a sorry state because of fighting against the demonic insects or demonic beasts. They even suffered some minor injuries, but He Xinjiu was completely fine. She was very lively. Ji Lingfeng and Jiang Shuangli had a subtle change in their minds, but their tolerance towards Yun Chujiu increased greatly. They didn't raise any objections. Xiao Lianxiao was about to explode with anger. But there was nothing she could do. She could only comfort herself. After all, this experiential learning was still going on for a long time. She would eventually find an opportunity to make a move. Chapter 5764, Thousand-Year-Old Corpse Turtle Bug. The next morning, the group continued to move in groups. He Xinjiu hummed a tune as she walked at the back of the group. She was obviously in a good mood. Xiao Lianxiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She wished she could shut her mouth. After walking for a while, there was a faint rustling sound in front of them. The four of them looked around, but didn't find anything unusual. Maybe it's just the sound of the wind. The plants here don't have any accompanying beasts. Just relax and move forward, Jiang Shuangli said confidently. B0x. Calm. Seeing that he said it so confidently, Xiao Lianxiao and the other two were relieved and continued to walk forward. However, after walking for less than 1,000 zhang, the four of them saw the situation in front of them. They were so scared that their legs went soft and they almost fell to the ground. The ground was filled with dense brown demonic insects, and the rustling was the sound they made when they crawled. This is a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle. Quick run, Jiang Shuangli said with a trembling voice. Even if Jiang Shuangli didn't say it, Xiao Lianxiao and the other two had also noticed the strangeness of these 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insects. Wherever those 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insects passed by, the plants began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye, and they could vaguely see the bones of many demonic beasts in the distance. The four of them immediately ran away. If it weren't for the fact that it was forbidden to fly here, the four of them would have immediately summoned their flying spirit tools and left this godforsaken place. Yun Chujiu didn't know what the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles were, but when she saw the pale faces of Jiang Shuangli and the other two, she knew that these 1,000-year-old corpse beetles were very terrifying. Fortunately, after they ran for some distance, they found that the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles didn't chase after them. I was scared to death. I was scared to death. Fortunately, those 1,000-year-old corpse beetles didn't chase after us. Otherwise, our lives would be in danger, Jiang Shuangli said with a face full of lingering fear. Yun Chujiu asked curiously, are those 1,000-year-old corpse beetles really that scary? Xiao Lianxiao glared at her and said with disdain, sure enough, he is a waste. He doesn't even know about the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles. Although Xiao Lianxiao and the other two did not like Yun Chujiu fully displayed the spirit of not being ashamed to ask. She learned about the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle from them. To us. Only a 1,000-year-old corpse would give birth to a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle. After the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle hatched, it would first devour the corpse and then come out to hunt for food. As they had a thick aura of death, the flowers, plants, and trees would wither wherever they passed. If the monsters or humans encountered the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles, the chances of survival were extremely low, because not only were there many of them, but they could also fly. Even though the bloodthirsty insect valley forbade flying, the monsters could still fly up to about 20 feet high. When Yun Chujiu heard this, she was suddenly shocked and subconsciously raised her head to look at the surrounding trees. When she saw the light reflected from the leaves, her pupils constricted and she said in a low voice, I have something to tell you. After listening to my words, none of you should cry out in alarm, and don't act rashly. Xiao Lianxiao snorted coldly, you are deliberately mystifying. Are you sick? Yun Chujiu ignored her and continued to speak in an extremely low voice. There are many 1,000-year-old corpse beetles on the surrounding trees. They are probably preparing to ambush us. We have to break out of the encirclement as fast as possible, or we will die without a doubt. Xiao Lianxiao thought that Yun Chujiu was talking nonsense, but when she saw the countless 1,000-year-old corpse beetles that could be vaguely seen behind the leaves, Her legs suddenly went weak and she almost collapsed to the ground. Chapter 5765. I have brains. Ji Lingfeng and Jiang Shuangli were no better. They never thought that these 1,000-year-old corpse turtles would be so cunning. They actually hid in the trees and prepared to surround and annihilate them. Yun Chujio glanced at them and said, "When those 1,000-year-old corpse turtles discover that we are escaping, they will definitely chase after us. The worst part is that they will dive down from the sky. Therefore, we must work together to escape and ascend into the sky. Later, when we rush out, we will activate the spiritual energy shield on our bodies at the same time. At the same time, Ji Lingfeng, throw out the jade talismans on your body. This way, we can ensure that our spiritual energy shield will not be breached." B0X. Calm, what right do you have to order me? Those jade talismans are used to protect my life. What right do you have to throw them all out? Ji Lingfeng said indignantly. Xiao Lianxiao snorted coldly from the side. That's right. Among the four of us, you're the most useless. What right do you have to order us around? Jiang Shuangli didn't say anything, but he didn't agree either. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. One have brains, but you guys have pig brains. Do you think I'm willing to care about you? If you guys weren't useful, I would have run away by myself. Xiao Lianxiao and the other two. What? You guys aren't convinced? If it weren't for me, would you guys have discovered the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles on the tree? Looking at your weak legs and weak hands, you guys are probably scared. What good ideas can you guys come up with? Cut the crap. If we continue to waste time, none of us will survive. Although Xiao Lianxiao and the other two were unwilling to admit it, they had to admit that Yun Chujio was right. When they thought about how they were surrounded by the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles, their hands and feet became weak. They couldn't think of any ideas at all. Ji Lingfeng gritted his teeth. Okay, I'll listen to you for a while. If we can get out of this, then so be it, but if we can't, if we can't get out of this, then there won't be a future. Xiao Lianxiao and Jiang Shuangli didn't say anything, but it was obvious that they had tacitly agreed. They'll transfer some demon beast corpses to you. Xiao Lianxiao, you throw them to the east, Ji Lingfeng, you throw them to the west, and Jiang Shuangli, you throw them to the north. This way, the attention of those 1,000-year-old corpse turtles will be distracted. When I count to 3, we'll rush to the south together. Do you hear me? Yun Chujio said solemnly. Xiao Lianxiao and the other two reluctantly nodded. Now, they could only try their best. Immediately, Yun Chujio transferred a lot of demon beast corpses to Xiao Lianxiao and the other two. The three of them immediately followed Yun Chujio's instructions and threw the demon beast corpses out. 1, 2, 3, charge. As soon as Yun Chujio finished speaking, the four of them dashed towards the south. Those 1,000-year-old corpse turtles were obviously more interested in living people. They abandoned the demon beast corpses and chased after the four of them. Ji Lingfeng, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and throw out the jade talisman seal. Ji Lingfeng gritted his teeth and began to throw out the jade talisman seal in pain. Although he was a student of the talisman division and his results were quite good, he only knew how to draw some low-level jade talismans. Many of the talismans he threw out were bought at a high price. Those 1,000-year-old corpse beetles chased after him relentlessly. Very quickly, Ji Lingfeng's jade talismans were all lost. The 1,000-year-old corpse beetles began to attack the four people's spiritual energy barrier. Are you all idiots? Release the spiritual beasts. Delay them. Yun Chujio roared. Xiao Lianxiao and the other two couldn't be bothered with their anger anymore and quickly released their spirit beasts. Even so, as more and more 1,000-year-old corpse turtles gathered, the four's spirit energy shield was covered with 1,000-year-old corpse turtles, and the sound of their hair-raising rustling could be heard. Chapter 5766 was trapped. Xiao Lianqiao's face was pale as she shouted, Yan Qingqing, where's your spiritual beast? Yun Chujio sighed, my spiritual beast is too useless. Since you insist that I release it, then I will release it. As Yun Chujio said that, she released a motionless red claw. This strange spiritual beast not only stunned Xiao Lianxiao and the other two, even the rustling sound stopped for a moment. Yun Chujio felt that it was not that critical yet, not to mention that she could still hide in the great void mystic realm, so she did not release the Goei Batsao, but instead, she released her red claws. B0XO. Of course, it was better not to enter the great void mystic realm if possible. After all, every time she came out, she would be sucked of blood. It was simply too abnormal. You are indeed a waste. We should not have listened to you. It's over, we are doomed now. Xiao Lianxiao said with a bit of a breakdown. Yun Chujio was too lazy to argue with her. As long as they could hold on for a while longer, Director Xiaofu would be able to rush over. At that time, they would naturally be able to escape. Sure enough, just as Xiao Lianxiao and the other two were about to despair, Director Xiaofu arrived. Director Xiophus' expression was very grave. Even if he was facing so many thousand-year-old corpse turtles, he still felt a little apprehensive. Fortunately, these thousand-year-old corpse turtles should still be larvae, and their levels weren't too high. Otherwise, they would be even more difficult to deal with. Director Xiaofu released his Spirit Power Wolf, and the Spirit Power Wolf immediately pounced on those thousand-year-old corpse turtles. Director Xiaofu said to Xiao Lianxiao and the others, "You guys retreat first. They'll be right behind you." Xiao Lianxiao and the others hurriedly ran forward, wishing that they could grow 2 more legs. The 4 of them ran for dozens of miles in one breath, and Director Xiaofu caught up. At the same time, another group rushed over after hearing the news. The group didn't dare to stop. They continued to run until they were exhausted. Director Xiophus' face was a bit ugly. He never thought that there would be a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle in the bloodthirsty insect valley. These 1,000-year-old corpse turtle grew very fast. The worst part was that when they grew to a certain level, they would devour each other. The last one left was the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect. The 1,000-year-old corpse beetle king beetle was an 8th-level sun-seal demonic insect, which was equivalent to a human cultivator at the 8th level of the divine level, while Director Xiaofu was only at the 4th level of the divine level. Director Xiaofu took out a map and looked at it. They had now fled to the core area of the bloodthirsty insect valley. It was estimated that the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles would not chase after them for a while. Although Director Xiaofu had just asked the academy for help, far water could not quench the immediate thirst. They had to save themselves. At least, they had to ensure that they would not be attacked by the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles before the reinforcements arrived. Now they could not care about collecting any herbs and seeds. Director Xiaofu arranged for everyone to spread out their vigilance. Once they found a bad sign, they would immediately move away. Director Xiaofu also knew that the best plan was to leave the bloodthirsty insect valley, but he had explored the road several times but to no avail. Those 1,000-year-old corpse beetles were obviously doing it on purpose. They were entrenched in the narrowest area of the bloodthirsty insect valley and had no way to break out. Director Xiaofu, logically speaking, it is impossible for a corpse to give birth to so many 1,000-year-old corpse beetles. Could it be that there are many corpses in this bloodthirsty insect valley that have not rotted for thousands of years? Although this bloodthirsty insect valley was dangerous, there were quite a number of people who came here to pick herbs every year. Why had they never been discovered? Ji Lingfeng asked in puzzlement. Those corpses are probably buried deep underground, that's why they haven't been discovered, Director Xiaofu guessed. Chapter 5767, Which one of us is useless? Jiang Shuangli said with a bitter face. This time, we're really doomed. The 1,000-year-old corpse turtle will give birth to a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect. A corpse will give birth to a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect. I'm afraid that we will become the food of the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect before we get reinforcements. Yun Chujio glanced at him and said, although the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insect is powerful, doesn't this bloodthirsty insect valley have a lot of demon insects? Will they let the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insect be arrogant? Maybe they will eat the other demon insects without us taking action. Jiang Shuangli said with disdain, what do you know? The 1,000-year corpse bug is the king of demon insects. When other demon insects see the 1,000-year corpse bug, they will only bow down to it. How would they dare to provoke the 1,000-year corpse bug? They are really ignorant. B0XO. Calm Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. Of course I am not as knowledgeable as you. After all, you are a good student of the Beastmaster School. If you have the ability, you can take the 1,000-year corpse bug as your spiritual pet. Jiang Shuangli almost died from anger. Not to mention him, even the dean of the Beastmaster faculty didn't have the ability to take the 1,000-year corpse turtle as his spiritual pet. The reason was very simple. Even the most ordinary demonic insects could only be tamed when they were in their eggs. Adult insects couldn't be tamed at all. What's more, this 1,000-year corpse turtle didn't have any eggs at all. Taming my ass. Yan Qingqing. You, I won't argue with a trash like you. Jiang Shuangli said angrily. Yun Chujio didn't mind. She took out a chicken leg and started to eat it. After all, she was a trash, she just wanted to eat and wait for death. Di Baiming stood beside Yun Chujio with a protective attitude, which made Xiao Lianxiao so angry that she gritted her teeth. Di Baiming's expression was as indifferent as ever. If there was really danger, he only needed to protect Xiao Jiao. The lives of others had nothing to do with him. The others were not so calm. They were all sitting on pins and needles. Even Vice President Xiao was constantly pacing around anxiously. However, after receiving a message from Director Xiaofu, Vice President Xiao's tightly furrowed brows relaxed. Vice President Xiao took out the map and pointed at a spot on it. Director Gu sent a message saying that there is a waterfall here. Those 1,000-year-old corpse beetles are not good at wading water. We can temporarily hide in the cave behind the waterfall and wait for reinforcements. Everyone was overjoyed when they heard this and immediately headed to the waterfall marked on the map. However, they forgot one thing. They were currently in the core area of the bloodthirsty insect valley. There were many high-level demonic insects scattered around. They soon encountered a nest of giant ghost-faced centipedes. These giant ghost-faced centipedes had a ghost face and their bodies were more than 10 feet long. They could also spray poison and were very difficult to deal with. It would have been fine if there were fewer of them, but they had provoked a nest of giant ghost-faced centipedes. There were more than a dozen of them. Xiao Lianxiao and the others' faces immediately turned pale. They had avoided those 1,000-year-old corpse turtles, but they had encountered this nest of giant ghost-faced centipedes. How could they be so unlucky? Those giant ghost-faced centipedes were very excited when they saw so many prey. They wished they could swallow everyone right away. While everyone was panicking, Yun Chujio shouted, "Not good! The 1,000-year-old corpse turtle is here." The giant ghost-faced centipedes shivered and stood up in fear, looking into the distance. Taking advantage of this gap, He Xinjiu dragged Di Baiming and dashed through the gap between the giant ghost-faced centipedes. Only then did Director Xiaofu and the others react and follow closely behind. The giant ghost-faced centipedes reacted and wanted to chase after them, but it was too late. He Xinjiu glanced at Jiang Shuangli who was following behind her. "Come, tell me which one of us is useless? I have an urgent matter to attend to." The update on August 13th will be postponed to 6 p.m. Chapter 5768. The waterfall. Jiang Shuangli's expression froze. He glared at Yun Chujio without saying a word. The main thing was that he did not know what to say. Other things aside, Yan Qingqing was the reason why they were able to survive the attack of the giant ghost-faced centipede. Yan Qingqing had lied to them without batting an eye. She had almost fooled them. No wonder she had gotten hold of Beiyu. It couldn't have been a lie, right? B0XO. After that, they encountered quite a number of high-level demonic insects. Although it was very difficult, they had finally reached the waterfall marked on the map. The reason why they had been able to benefit from Director Zaifa's cultivation was partly because of Jiang Shuangli's extraordinary family background. They had many good things on them that could save their lives at critical moments. Even so, everyone was injured quite badly. Even Director Xiaofu vomited a mouthful of blood. He Xinjiu was not injured under Di Baiming's protection, but his clothes and face were covered in blood. He looked miserable. Yes, it was all the demonic beast blood that he had secretly smeared. Even Di Biming's face was smeared with some demonic beast blood. When everyone saw the waterfall in front of them, they finally let out a sigh of relief. As long as they hid in the cave behind the waterfall, their lives would not be in danger for the time being. However, would the cave behind the waterfall have already been occupied by demon beasts? If they rashly approached, there might be danger. Xiao Lianxiao recalled the method that Yun Chujio had used before. She picked up a few small stones and threw them towards the cave behind the water curtain. After waiting for a long time, she did not find anything unusual. Director Xaiphus' gaze landed on Di Biming. Beiyu, you have an ice spirit root. You are suitable for fighting in the water. Go and explore the cave behind the waterfall. Hei Xinjiu was immediately unhappy. The gigolo had an ice spirit root, not a water spirit root. Why should the gigolo scout the path? However, none of the people present had water spirit roots. The gigolo was a more suitable candidate. Di Biming did not hesitate. He immediately jumped into the pool and swam toward the waterfall. A moment later, Di Biming waved at everyone in the cave. Everyone was overjoyed and quickly jumped into the water and swam toward the cave. After everyone entered the cave, they looked carefully. There were traces of man-made excavations in the cave. It should have been formed naturally. This cave was not considered big, and it could barely accommodate the 8 of them. Everyone sat on the ground, consumed medicinal pills to treat their injuries, and then meditated to regulate their breathing. The next morning, everyone was shocked to discover that there were actually quite a number of 1,000-year-old corpse turtles gathered on the other side of the pool. The densely packed group made their scalps go numb. However, it was fortunate that they were indeed somewhat afraid of the water and did not have any intention of entering the pool. Everyone could not help but sigh. It was a good thing that President Gu had pointed out the way for them. Otherwise, they would have been surrounded by the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles. However, Hei Xinjiu suddenly thought of a question. If the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles could fly, why didn't they choose to fly over? Could it be that the water pond was more restricted from flying than other places? The others had obviously thought of this as well. Vice President Xiao explained. President Gu said during the transmission that the water pond was more restricted from flying than other places. That's why he asked us to hide here. As more and more 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insects gathered, everyone was surprised to find that the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insects were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. These 1,000-year-old corpse turtle insects are about to evolve. Soon, they will produce 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects, Jiang Shuangli said with a trembling voice. Chapter 5769 The 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle King Bug. Although Jiang Shuangli's trembling voice was filled with fear, there was also a trace of excitement. After all, not everyone had the chance to witness the birth process of the 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle King Bug. The others also had the same thoughts. In any case, these 1,000-year corpse turtle bugs did not dare to wade in the water. Under the premise that their lives were not in danger, it was good to broaden their horizons. After the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles grew to a certain size, they began to kill each other in a frenzy. The 1,000-year-old corpse beetles didn't have blood, but a black liquid with a rotten smell. Soon, the air was filled with a nauseating smell. What made everyone even more uncomfortable was the 1,000-year-old corpse beetles' carcasses, which made people's hair stand on end. B0XO. Calm. This battle continued from dusk until dawn the next day. Among the thick layer of 1,000-year-old corpse beetles' carcasses, there were still 8,000-year-old corpse beetles. Jiang Shuangli pointed at the 8,000-year-old corpse beetles and said, "Look, these 8 should be 1,000-year-old corpse beetles." Ji Lingfeng said in confusion, "These 8 look no different from ordinary 1,000-year-old corpse beetles. Are they really 1,000-year-old corpse beetles? Are they really that terrifying?" As soon as he finished speaking, the 8,000-year-old corpse beetles began to crazily devour the corpses on the ground, their bodies rapidly growing like snowballs. Under everyone's stunned gazes, the 8,000-year-old corpse turtle king bugs devoured all the corpses on the ground, their bodies growing to over 10 feet in size. As their bodies grew larger, the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king bug's appearance also became more sinister and terrifying, their bodies even shrouded in a substance-like black aura. Xiao Lianxiao said with a face full of fear, "Fortunately, we hid here in advance, or else would be dead for sure." The others also felt sad. Even a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king bug could kill them, not to mention there were 8 of them here. The protruding eyes of the 8,000-year-old corpse turtle king bugs shot out a cold light, all converging on the people hiding in the cave. Even though they were still some distance away, even though they were separated by the water curtain, everyone was still frightened by their cold eyes. One of the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects tried to enter the pool, but it quickly crawled back to the shore. Everyone's originally worried hearts finally returned to their stomachs. Fortunately, the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects were afraid of the water, or else they would have been due. The other 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects also tried once, but in the end, they all came back empty-handed. Just when everyone was completely relieved, the 8,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects actually began to kill each other. The intensity of the battle simply exceeded everyone's understanding. Everyone looked at each other. Why were these 8,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects also fighting? Could it be that there was no room for 2 tigers on the same mountain? Everyone was happy to watch the show. It would be best if these 8,000-year-old corpse turtle king insects died together. As he watched, Jiang Shuangli's expression changed drastically as he said, I know." Everyone looked at him in confusion. Xiao Lianxiao snappily said, "What do you know?" Jiang Shuangli's face was deathly pale. His legs went limp and he directly sat on the ground. After calming down for a while, he said, "It is rumored that above the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect, there is the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect. The production method of the emperor insect is roughly the same as that of the king insect, but it needs to devour the corpse of the king insect. The 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug is only recorded in some ancient books. I thought that it was just a legend. I didn't expect that there really was a 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug." Chapter 5770 The 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle Emperor Bug Director Xiophas' expression changed first. The 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle Emperor Bug was already an 8th-level sun-sealed demonic bug, equivalent to a human cultivator at the 8th level of the Divine Ascension realm. Then, wouldn't the Emperor Bug's strength be even more terrifying? Most importantly, if the 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle Emperor Bug was not afraid of water, then would they still have a way to live? Now, they could only pray that the 1,000-Year Corpse Turtle Emperor Bug was also afraid of water, and that reinforcements would arrive quickly. Thinking of this, Director Xiaofu quickly passed the news back to the academy. The 1,000-year-old king turtle was so terrifying. If fewer people came, not only would they not be able to save them, they would also lose their lives. B0XO. The battle between the 8,000-year-old king turtle continued until the next morning, but there was still no winner. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. Director Xiaofu, I think we should launch an attack when their battle is over. The reason is very simple. After killing each other, the remaining 1,000-year-old king turtle must be heavily injured and is at its weakest. Otherwise, after it has swallowed the other 7,000-year-old king turtle and turned into the 1,000-year-old king turtle, if it can wade into the water, we will definitely die. This is the only chance for us to escape. This opportunity is now or never. What do you think? Vice Director Xiaofu frowned. Before he could say anything, Xiao Lianxiao said, Yan Qingqing, you are worrying for nothing. Since the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle and the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect cannot wade in the water, and the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect certainly cannot wade in the water, why should we take the risk? Ji Lingfeng pursed his lips. The 1,000-year-old corpse turtle king insect is equivalent to a human cultivator in the 8th layer of the divine level. Even if it is seriously injured, we are not its match. What's the difference between this and courting death? Jiang Shuangli also echoed, that's right. The reinforcements will arrive this afternoon. There's no need to take the risk at all. Yan Qingqing, Don't come up with such a bad idea. Yun Chujio looked at Bai Yuechen and Nangongshi. What do you guys think? Bai Yuechen snorted coldly. Isn't it obvious? We just need to wait for the reinforcements. There's no need to take the risk at all. Moreover, the last remaining 1,000-year corpse Turtle King insect will definitely become more violent after the battle. If we go ashore, we'll be courting death. Everyone's gaze fell. They felt that he must have the same thoughts as Xiao Lianqiao and the others. However, unexpectedly, Nangongshi said, I think what Yen Qingcheng said makes sense. Just because the 1,000-year corpse Turtle King insect can't wade in the water doesn't mean that the 1,000-year corpse Turtle King insect can't wade in the water. Why don't we take a gamble? Otherwise, once it can wade in the water, we'll definitely die. Di Baiming nodded. I also agree with Yen Qingcheng's opinion. A gentleman doesn't put himself in danger. It's better to eliminate the danger in the bud. Seeing that Di Baiming and Yun Chujio were in the same boat, Xiao Lianqiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth and looked at Vice Director Xiaofu. Second uncle, what do you think? Director Xiaofu was obviously hesitant, but when he saw the intense battle on the shore and the stench in the air, he gritted his teeth and said, according to common sense, the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect should also be afraid of wading in the water. To be safe, we should wait for reinforcements to arrive. Director Xiaofu, common sense is not necessarily correct. If we miss this opportunity, even if we want to regret it, it's too late. Yun Chujio put away her usual cheeky smile and said seriously. Xiao Lianqiao said from the side, Humph. If you are so capable, you can rush out yourself. If you want to die, then go die. Don't drag us along. Ji Lingfeng and the others were also mocking and saying sarcastic words. Chapter 5771 Submission. A cold glint flashed across Yun Chujio's eyes. It was difficult to persuade those damn ghosts with good words. Since these idiots did not appreciate her kindness, there was no need for her to say anything more. If the situation was really as bad as she had expected, she would hide in the great void mystic realm. Without her dragging her down, the pretty boy's ability would naturally allow her to escape. Nangongshi wanted to say something, but seeing that Vice Director Xiaofu had already made up his mind, a hint of worry flashed across his eyes, but he did not say anything else. The battle on the shore was coming to an end, and in the end, a slightly larger 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle King bug won. B0XO. Comet began to crazily devour the corpses of the other 7,000-year-old corpse Turtle King bugs, and its body also began to rapidly grow. In the end, it turned into a 60-foot-long behemoth. It flapped its wings, and some of the remains on the ground were swept away from the ground and swallowed into its mouth. Then, it let out a strange cry, and all kinds of insect cries came from all directions, as if it was a pilgrimage. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. What shocked them even more was that there was a bright red eye-shaped mark on the forehead of the 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug. This 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug was actually an eye-shaped demonic beast, which was equivalent to the legendary demigod cultivation. The 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug looked at the people in the cave coldly with its huge protruding eyes. It actually spoke in human language, a bunch of stupid ants. Do you want to die or live? As the 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug spoke, it emitted a tremendous pressure. The people in the cave immediately broke out in cold sweat. They even had the urge to kneel down and worship it. Of course, there were exceptions, such as a certain venerable and Hei Xinjiu. When Deputy Director Xiaofu saw that the 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug could actually speak, the fear in his heart became even greater. However, when he thought that although the 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor bug was terrifying, since it did not wade into the water, it should also be afraid of the water, and he felt more confident. Deputy Director Xiaofu politely cupped his fists and said, "We didn't mean to offend you. Please show us mercy." The 1,000-year-old corpse Turtle Emperor insect let out a few strange cries and its huge body entered the pool. "Ant, do you think that I don't dare to wade in the water?" Vice Director Xaiaphus' legs went weak and he almost collapsed to the ground. His face was full of fear. Xiao Lianxiao and the others were even more unbearable and directly collapsed to the ground. This 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect was actually not afraid of the water? Then did they still have a way to live? The 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect seemed to enjoy Vice Director Xioph's fear, and did not continue to walk forward. It swept a glance at everyone. What a bunch of cowardly ants. How about this? As long as you submit to me, I will spare your little lives. How about it? After the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor insect finished speaking, it spat out a mouthful of black gas. The water curtain was directly dispersed by the black gas, revealing everyone's abnormally frightened expressions. Everyone was scared and anxious. What should they do? Were they really going to submit to a demonic insect? But if they didn't submit, how could they survive? Director Xioph's eyes flashed. He gave everyone a look and then said to the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug, "We are willing to submit. Please spare us." Director Xiaofu calculated in his heart that he could temporarily stabilize the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug. If he delayed for a while more, the Academy's reinforcements might arrive. This 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug had just been born after all, so its cultivation might not be stable. Once the reinforcements arrived, it might be able to escape. With Director Xiaofu taking the lead, Xiao Lianxiao and the others also expressed their submission. It was just a temporary measure, so it was okay to say some soft words. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.